Hey, with your evening story channel, I post new interesting stories every day. Subscribe and click the bell to not miss it.
Emily twirled in her hands a cup not up to this tea. It looked at her friend, who was now a guest. "Is it from the set I once gave you for your wedding? Is it?" Molly nodded. "It's funny, isn't it? The husband's gone. The set is." She laughed out loud, but when she noticed that Emily only grinned unhappily at the joke, she stopped laughing and said seriously, "Come on, tell me what happened to you. And it's really bad." Emily sighed. "No, it's fine for now, but I don't know how long it will last. I can't get pregnant, and I just want a baby of my own. My own. What other people's babies do you already have?" "The gnome has nice eyebrows, Molly." "That's the thing. There's Nancy, Alex's daughter from my first marriage, who lives with us now. Her mom's out of town. I don't know what her deal is, but the Bettys dumped their daughter on us, and more specifically on me. Alex is out on the road every now and then. She's not home much, and I have to raise her." "What a nightmare." Molly's eyes rounded. "How old is she?" "6. She's going into first grade in September." "That's a terrible age." Molly shook her head. "I remember my Will when he was like that. He's 12 now, thank goodness. It's starting all over again, though. Transition age and all that. Anyway, I sympathize with you and I understand." "No, you don't." Emily waved her hand. "After all, this is my own mother, now our stepmother. The slightest thing I do wrong immediately starts screaming, hysterics, caprices. She also calls her father all the time and complains about me. Of course, Alex reprimands me for it. He, you see, entrusted me with his child, and I cannot communicate with her normally. How about that? And the most frustrating thing is that I can't get pregnant. So if in any case, Nancy's interests outweigh my own. There's 2 of them, and I'm alone. Sometimes I really want to grab that Nancy by the shoulders and shake her like a punching bag so that she'll get the crap off her. Honestly, I'm so tired of everything. Now, instead of working on myself, I have to go to kindergarten. For that and not a tolerable girl. Can you imagine? She even at night does not sleep, tossing in bed, walking around the apartment, then it is necessary to go to the toilet, then hungry. They're getting sick of it all the time nowadays. I can't stand it. I'd nail her if I were you," Molly said. "Or give her a good spanking so she knows how to behave. In fact, why don't you just send her back to her mother? Let her take care of her own daughter." "I'd like that," Emily said. "To be honest, I can hardly contain myself from spanking Nancy for her antics." "Okay," Molly smiled. "Let's change the subject. I'm going to cheer you up. Guess who's come to town?" "I have no idea," Emily shrugged. "But I want to tell you right away, I'm not going to see any artists. I'm just not in the mood. So sorry. What artists are there?" Molly waved her hand. "I'm talking about David. Remember him?" David threw himself in Emily's face. "Wait, but that can't be. He left a long time ago and lives in Moscow. Why would he come here? Did he want to see you?" Molly laughed. "So what? First love doesn't rust, and it doesn't blush. He's here on business. He just buried his father. Now he's got an inheritance to settle. Apartments and stuff. I met him yesterday by chance on the street. He recognized me, but I didn't recognize him. Why not?" Emily was surprised. Had he changed so much? He's dressed like a London dandy. He's got everything on. Expensive watches, brand name clothes. He looks great. You do realize that doctors are very good at what they do. And he also works at the best clinic. So if you missed out, friend, you could have lived like a queen. Your trucker's Alex wouldn't even dream of making that kind of money. Happiness is not about money." "Emily, yeah. I drank iced tea and put the cup aside. That's how all beggars soothe themselves." Molly grinned. They sat for a while. Then Molly went out to see her friend off. But Emily, having made a few steps to the elevator, suddenly came back to her and asked, "Do you have his phone number by any chance?" David said with difficulty to Emily, "I chance I do." Molly's lips curled into a mocking smile. "You want to call him?" "Yes, or rather, no." Emily was completely embarrassed. Then she waved her hand. "What am I really doing?" "Forgiven." And while she was already standing at the bus stop when she was drinking on her phone, Emily took the phone in her hands and saw a message from her friend. She sent a number signed David that, not to give in to temptation, Emily wanted to immediately delete the text, but instead, for some reason, she hid the phone in her bag again. 20 minutes later, she was already in the kindergarten and listened to the teacher's complaints about Nancy, who could not find a common language with her peers and was rude to her. "We will definitely talk to Nancy at home," Emily promised. Her father was coming back from a trip today. "I think everything's going to be okay." "I certainly hope so." Molly nodded and defiantly turned her back to Emily and Nancy. Angrily said Emily. Nancy as they walked towards the bus stop. "I'm tired of hearing all these complaints. You're a big girl, you're going to school soon, so you should act normal like all kids do." "I am behaving normally," Nancy replied, and to interrupt the unpleasant conversation, pulled her hand out of Emily's hands and ran to the bus. She shrieked and rushed after her, making it just in time because the girl almost got hit by the car. Crazy Emily yanked on her skull by the shoulder, turned her face around, and started yelling at her, not holding back with anger. Nancy immediately burst into tears, and when they got home, Please kicked out into her room and shut herself in. That without even saying hello to her father, who looked out of the kitchen, "You're home now," Emily kissed her husband. "Yes, I got back half an hour ago," he said and nodded toward his daughter who had run away. "What's with her?" Emily waved her hand. The usual childish whims. Don't mind her. Although, maybe it's time to give her back to her mother. Betty, of course, smart flashed her kid at us, and she's busy with her personal life. That's fine. But first of all, that baby is as much mine as hers, angrily muttered Alex. And secondly, you are not busy anyway, and you can take care of Mastia. What am I, your babysitter? Emily blurted out. You and your Betty are very well settled. You've got your own thing going on, and I'm obligated to babysit your daughter, which no one dares say that to me. You're my wife, so she's your daughter too. That's when I give birth to Emily. Then it will be my daughter or my son. There's no way I'm gonna let anyone else take over parenting. I see, you have to give birth first, Alex shrugged. You're just promising. And maybe it's not my fault alone. Who else? Alex grinned. I have a daughter. I hope you noticed that. Tears showed in Emily's eyes, and she abruptly turned and went into the bedroom, slamming the door. Alex glared angrily at her, and then went to his daughter's room. Emily heard Nancy laughing at something. Then there was the clinking of cymbals. Apparently Alex and her daughter had decided to have dinner, but when he called out to her, and she didn't go out to them because she didn't want to see their happy faces, her husband's rebuke cut her to the heart. She really didn't understand why she couldn't become a mother. She wanted it so much. Late at night, when Alex came into the bedroom, hatched to her and embraced her, Emily released from his arms and moved to the edge of the bed. He sighed as if he only now realized her condition. Emily, well, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hurt you. You know how much I love you. I'm just sorry she's nice. I really want you to be friends with her. She's like a little angel. I was just putting her to bed. She gave me a big, big hug and told me she loved me. It made my heart ache. Emily, can you hear me? I'm talking to you. Okay, go back to sleep. I'm pretty damn tired myself. We'll talk tomorrow. But in the morning, when Alex woke up, Emily was gone. But she didn't answer his calls and only wrote in a message that she was fine and had urgent business. In the evening when she got home, Nancy was about to go to bed, but as usual, Alex now was very cranky at Emily with reproaches, but she said nothing to him. Took a shower and retired to the bedroom, listening to the annoyed voice of her husband who had no way of putting his daughter to bed. Emily smiled. Now Alex knew that his Nastenka was not such an angel as he might have thought. 2 days later, when Alex was off on his flight again, Emily dialed David's number. Do you want me to come to your house? He wondered. Yes, she answered. David, you have no idea how much I need you, so you'll come. When did he ring the doorbell? Nancy was already fast asleep. I gave her a sleeping pill, Emily said. I hope she's asleep now until morning. David grinned and held out his arms to Emily, but she stepped aside. You're crazy. I'm married, and I'm not going to cheat on Alex. That's how graceful and arched his right eyebrow. David. Then why did you ask me to come over to your place? And I think you wanted to remember how good we were together. I've never forgotten that, unlike you. Emily grinned. But you can't belong to one woman. I wasn't comfortable with that. Well, let's not talk about it. What's past is past. I want to talk to you, Nancy. I need your professional advice. The girl's been giving me a lot of anxiety. You see, I have a feeling she's on the verge of a nervous breakdown, and that's at her age. She sleeps very badly, shaking and screaming in her sleep. I have to give her sleeping pills from time to time just to get her to sleep, but I'm afraid of hurting her. It's a serious medication. David, are you a doctor and can you help? Yes, he shook his head and grinned. I didn't think you'd invite me to your house at night for this. Tell me, why couldn't we meet somewhere else, like a coffee shop? David, do you really think I'd leave Nancy alone at home? What's the big deal? She's big enough, and you're playing the caring mom role for nothing. Doesn't it suit you? I'll never believe you can love someone else's child. At least I couldn't. One more thing. I don't give free counseling. Don't think I'm after your money, and I just want to reminisce about my youth. You're still just as hot as ever. That makes sense, Emily said. I think I did a really stupid thing when I called you. Let me walk you out, and thanks for your help. You're still a bitch. David grinned. He went into the kitchen and sat down at the table. Hopefully at least a cup of coffee. You bought me a cup of coffee. And come on, tell me what's wrong with your stepdaughter. It was a long conversation. Emily answered all of David's questions. And when he was silent and thought anxiously, she began to look at his face. You know, he said at last, it seems to me that the girl has some psychological trauma, and all her actions and behavior is a kind of reaction to the event. You say her mother left her and went somewhere else. It's possible that's where it all lies. Imagine yourself in the child's shoes. She hasn't actually seen her father in 3 years. She's used to living a different life. Suddenly she's forced to call some man she doesn't know very well her father. An even less familiar woman replaces her mother, and her own mother's behavior is very strange. The child's psyche couldn't take it. Hence the problems with sleep and health in general. What kind of relationship did she have with her mother? Emily shrugged her shoulders. I don't know, I didn't ask. Why would you? Can a mother and daughter have a bad relationship? Are you like the first time you were born? David laughed. Or are you used to equalize everyone to yourself? Yes, Emily nodded thoughtfully. I would be the best mother in the world. I can help you with that, smiled David and covered her hand with his palm. Hello, Alex, it's not working out. You've helped me so much already, she said back. Now let me walk you out. She was just about to get up, as suddenly she heard her bare feet on the floor, and on the doorstep of the kitchen came the news. She looked at the strange man sitting in front of her with all her eyes. Then she turned and ran back to her room. You have to go, David? Said a distraught Emily. And thank you for everything. After she saw him off, she went into her stepdaughter's room and sat down next to her. Nancy's not sleeping for some reason. Maybe you. Milk. Leave me alone. The girl screamed. I don't want anything from you. Go away. You're bad. Emily sighed and left the room, and Nancy pulled her cell phone out from under her pillow and dialed her father's number. A few days later, when Emily picked Nancy up from daycare, came home with her, she saw the bags with her things on the doorstep. Hi, why am I calling you? Aren't you picking up your phone? She asked Alex, who met them standing in the hallway with his arms crossed over his chest. She pointed to the bags. What are these? Your stuff that you're gonna take and get out of here? Or did you think I'd forgive you for the men you bring here at night? I know all about it. And be thankful you've been away this whole time. Otherwise, I'd just kill you. Emily looked reproachfully at Nancy. Why did you do it? Why did you call Dad? We talked about everything. Alex's anger had finally boiled over. My daughter did the right thing, and you can't blame her. Get out of here right now. I can't stand to see you. I'll leave. Alex, said Emily, glancing at Nancy, who had gone to her room. But first, you and I are going to talk about Betty, not about us. You know she's in the hospital. She's going to have a major operation. She's been in a lot of pain lately, screaming during attacks. And that's what scared Nancy so much before she went to the hospital. Betty called you and asked you to pick up Nancy. After all, you are the birth father. She didn't say anything to me. Alex said something about being sick, so she didn't want you to know about it. It doesn't change anything, and I don't want to see you anymore anyway, and I'll file for divorce myself. Emily waved her hand and took her bag and left without saying goodbye to her husband. The next day she called Igor again and said that she had one more small request from him. Do you really want me to help your Alex's ex-wife? He was surprised. Why would you want to do that? I want Nancy to be okay. She should live with her mother. Do you understand? What do I get in return? Me and David, he laughed. All right, don't sweat it. I'll do whatever it takes. After all, I've done wrong to you. And it is time to make it right. We are, after all, friends, said Emily. And thank you so much for your help. Several months passed. One day, Emily came out of the office where she worked as an accountant and noticed David's car parked at the entrance. She wanted to pass by, but he already saw her and rushed to meet her with a huge bouquet of roses in his hands. Emily, let's talk about what? She glanced at the flowers but didn't take them. You and me. David, come to your senses. There is no us. It's all over now. How many years has it been? Yes, I loved you very much. I couldn't breathe when you weren't around. But you didn't need that. Remember that night at the club when I saw you and Vanessa in that back room? I almost died of grief. My friends told me you were cheating on me, but I didn't believe it until I saw it with my own eyes. I'm physically sick of you, David. I'm different now, and I don't want to feel that pain again. But I'm different now, too. Emily, I'm tired of pretty girls with nothing to talk about. I need a woman like you who is beautiful, confident, and reliable. I'll do anything to have you with me. You won't succeed, Emily smiled. Have you ever heard that a person is given a chance for true love only once in a lifetime? You missed it yourself. You squandered it on your own. Now it's too late. Why? Because I'm pregnant. I'm expecting a baby. I had a son. It's Alex's baby. Yes, she nodded. And even though he doesn't deserve it either, he's still his father. You could never love my baby. Now, if you'll excuse me, it's time. Please don't come back again. You'll never get anywhere. And you know what? It seems to me more and more often that you men are not worthy of love at all because you don't know how to appreciate it, value it, and cherish it. Emily, goodbye, David. Thank you for everything, and be happy. She left in the morning when the doorbell rang. I was surprised to see Alex on my doorstep. Brought the divorce papers. She grinned. Couldn't have bothered. The mail works properly. Alex knelt down in front of her. I didn't file for divorce. And I'm glad I did, because now I know everything. David came to see me. He told me the truth about your relationship and that you are the reason Betty is healthy now. He also told me that you're expecting my baby. That's true. What do you care, Alex? We can't be together anyway. If there's no trust between husband and wife, there's no family. Then I won't settle for anything less. So please go away. But she did not listen to him and closed the doors in front of him, and all the following months refused not only to meet, but also just to talk to him. But when this shouting in the row hall came, she felt that someone was holding her hand. She turned her head and saw Alex. Why are you here? And I will always be with you now, with you and our son, he said, and very soon he took his baby boy in his arms. Emily looked at them and smiled. Now she was sure that they would definitely be happy.